guys, Ken here, your thrifty apprentice. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome back to another water soluble Wednesday. In today's video, we are going to be unboxing, swatching, and doing a first painting demo field test with Lukas Aquarelle 1862 professional watercolor paints. Now, this is an unboxing, and of course, I'll use the paints over a couple of weeks before I get around to a review. I'm unboxing these because these are the paints that I'm going to be using during Inktober, coming up in October, whenever I decide to use watercolor paint. So I will be using these the whole month of October in conjunction with some other products to complete Inktober before review comes. But let's jump in to unboxing these. So here we have Lukas Aquarelle 1862 with the logo. It's a chipboard blue box, pretty straightforward. These are tube paints. There's an illustration to the far right side, which is pretty cool looking. Tells you that you have 12 tubes at 10 milliliters a piece. Pretty much says the same information on all the flaps. This says finest moist artist watercolors, professional quality. Made in the United Kingdom for Lukas. Then it gives the address, telephone number, and the email, which is lukas.eu. Flipping it over on the back here, let's see. Lukas Aquarelle 1862. In 1862, Dr. F.R. Schoenfeld, I know I probably missed it, Schoenfeld, I probably messed it up, successfully copied the advantages of watercolors in tubes and produced a real moist watercolor in pans. In honor of this event, Lukas has given their finest artist watercolors the brand name Aquarelle 1862. So that is the brand name of the watercolors. The carefully selected top quality raw materials are prepared by a special production process which gives Aquarelle 1862 a very fine quality. And it says the same thing in a couple of other languages. And here we're going to get a swatching of all of the colors that are included. There are 12. It gives a name here. Then there's a UPC code. It says contents may vary, meaning that you may get different colors in the box, which I love it when they go ahead and tell you that. And this set does use real cadmium because it lets you know that cadmium yellow light and cadmium red light has a warning on it. This product can expose you to cadmium, which is known in the state of California to cause cancer and birth defects or other reproductive harm. But of course, we're not eating our paints. As long as we don't eat our paints, we don't have that to worry about. And that is pretty much all of the information that is on the box. Right, let's open it up here. See what we have on the inside. So we have 12 tubes of watercolor. I'll put that to the side. Comes in this black, it's sort of flimsy tray, but it's only meant to hold the watercolors. It's not like we're holding pencils or anything, right? Let's take a look at the tubes here. We have, okay, that's metal tube, aluminum. Feels like aluminum tubes with a pretty large screw off top. I like the fact that it's large like that so you can grab it with no problems. I didn't have any issue screwing it off there. There is no foil covering the paint. We'll get to see how the consistency of that is in just a moment. Let's read the tube here. Lukas Aquarelle 1862. This particular one is ivory black, and it does say that in a couple of different languages. It gives the number for the color, which is 1182. Only disposed when empty, and it lets you know that it's 10 milliliters. The back of the tube, well, that's still on the front of the tube there. You get the light fast ratings, which this particular one is 3 stars. Which ivory black is pretty and normally light fast color, so I'm going to assume that their light fast scale goes from 1 to 3, with 1 being the most fugitive and 3 being the most permanent. But I will look that up to verify that information by the time we get to the review. The very back says made in England. UK, but the company is in Germany. Didn't say that on the box. No, no, no. It just says the contents may vary, but the tube does say that the company is in Germany, but paints are made in England, and the box says UK. So there you have that. It gives the telephone number and then the exact same email address. So you're going to get the light fast rating. You're going to get the color number, the color name, but I do not see any pigment information. Now it's wrapped on around. There's the AP seal of approval, but it's very faint and light to let you know that it does conform to the ASTM 4236 regulation. And there's the pigment number, guys. It's really, really faint. That's PBK7. I mean, it's super faint on there too. Let's see if they're all like that. Here we have Payne's Gray. Yeah, it's really, really light. That I cannot tell you what that pigment number, PR170, PBK7, and maybe PB15. Okay, so I'm gonna check the website and see if it gives me some information where I can get exactly what that tube is saying, because as you can see, I don't know if you guys can see it, it's printed on there super light, super light. Almost as though maybe there was the stamping when the machine was printing, it didn't print completely, because the UPC code, the AP seal of approval, and the pigment numbers all kind of wrap around into the color part of the tube, and you can't really see the printing. So I definitely don't think it was meant to be that way. But anyway, there are the 12 tubes. So I am going to put these in a rainbow order for myself, and then we are going to be panning these up inside this little palette here. Now this is the palette that came with those artist decor paints that from Temu that we looked at last week. I just took those paints out of this palette and put them in another one. I even pulled the little glued half pans out of this plastic molded tray. Washed everything out, and then this is what I'm going to be using to pan these paints. Mainly because during Inktober, I actually may do some traveling and want to take it with me so that I don't miss any days. So I wanted to put it in a travel palette instead of a big palette. So we are going to get these light, oh, yellow, that's yellow ochre. Wow, okay. So I'm going to just start it yellow, green, blue, and then we have a white. Okay. So to go there, black, white, white, black, white, black, white. All right, let's see what we have. Let's shake this up. First of all, we have cadmium red light number 1072. And I cannot make out where the pigment information is. I'm going to definitely look it up. So, but I know that there is pigment information. Make sure we shake that up really good. Okay, a little leaky, leaky. Got a little binder separation there. Yeah, that one had quite a bit of binder separation. I'm going to have to get like a little toothpick or something in order to, I got paint all over that, in order to, I need a paper towel. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I had to grab a towel, and while I was at it, I went ahead and grabbed a toothpick so that I could mix that paint and binder up. There we go. And that's just a quick tip. And make sure you throw that toothpick away because there is real cadmium in there. Next, we have magenta. Hopefully, we'll have a little bit better. It could just be that, you know, the paints, because I did pick these up from Jerry Autorama, so it could be that the paints were on the shelf for a minute while that one had some separation. That was magenta number 1051. Yeah, I can't see the pigment number, so I'll get it for you guys later. This should be quick. We don't have to read a whole bunch of everything. Oh, I'm sorry. So the Cad Red has 3 stars. The magenta has 2 stars, so it's definitely a more fugitive color, which is to be expected. Next up, we have lemon yellow number 1021 with 3 stars. No, I can't really see the information on that one either. So let's just get it panned up real quick. Oh, now that one's thick. So the consistency of that one was thick coming out the tube. The Cad Red had binder separation. The magenta was a pretty decent consistency, kind of creamy, and then the lemon yellow was thick coming out the tube. Next up, we have permanent yellow light, number 1045, I'm sorry. It has 3 stars. So far we have, what, 3 3-star paints and 1 2-star. All right. That one had just a smidget of binder separation, just a smidget. Next up, we have Phthalo Green, number 1195, 3 stars. So, according to them, this is some pretty light, fast paint. Of course, we'll definitely be able to see that once we are able to verify what the pigment numbers are. But Lukas is a pretty reputable legacy company, so I don't think I'm going to have much to worry about with that. And these are some pretty nicely filled tubes, too. They're all have been pretty full. That Phthalo Green is 3 stars. Next up, we have Cyan. I'm not the hugest Cyan fan. It is number 1118 with 3 stars. And by the way, the Phthalo Green had pretty decent consistency like the magenta did. And the Cyan has the same consistency, pretty creamy. Next up, we're going to get Ultramarine Light. Ultramarine Light is number 1135. Again, we have 3 stars. And we got pretty decent consistency. That's a pretty color. That is such a pretty color. I love ultramarine blue, any of them. I'm a real big Prussian blue fan as well. I wish it was in here. Next up, we have a yellow ochre number 1031 with 3 stars. So it looks like we have all 3-star paints, my friends. Seems the only 2-star we had was the magenta. Now the yellow ochre is definitely harder coming out the tube. Sort of like the, what was that, lemon yellow was. Maybe there's a little issue with the yellows. I don't know, because of the pigment, maybe. We'll have to see. Burnt Umber number 1111 with 2 stars. So here we do have another 2-star color, which is more fugitive than the rest of them. I'm interested to see what this one is made up of for it to have 2 stars. Yeah, I'm definitely, let's see, PY45. I can't read the rest of it. It's so hard, guys. It's printed really, really light. Okay. Let's see. Next up, we have Payne's Gray 1184, 2 stars. Okay. So we have Payne's Gray being more fugitive than most in here. I wonder how many of them are actually single pigment. Oh, I can't wait to find out. And I love Payne's Gray. It has really become one of my favorite colors. Next up, we have Ivory Black, 3 stars, number 1182, which is the tube we originally looked at. Okay. And last but not least, just in case we want to give something some body, sorry about that, guys. Just in case we want to give something some body, we have white. This is opaque white, number 1007 with 3 stars. And we got pretty creamy consistency coming there as well. All right, so we have panned up the paints. You guys see what the tubes look like. I am gonna have to give this at least a day to dry because I like painting from dried paints. And then I'm gonna turn the camera back on and we will go through the swatching, and I'll write all of the information and look up the pigment numbers because I want the pigment numbers to work with throughout Inktober. So I'm gonna go ahead and prepare the swatch sheet. I'm gonna give these at least half a day, maybe a day to dry, and then we'll come back. I am swatching on 100% cotton watercolor paper. This is the little swatch book that I picked up from Jerry's Autorama that I have been swatching most of my professional grade paints in anyway. So I basically just, you know, pre-activated the paints, and now I'm going in with a flat synthetic brush and painting in the very first layer of the swatch, which is a really watery layer. Then I'm going to go back in and glaze each one of those watery layers with another layer, kind of bringing it out past the little black line that you see. 1, to help test opacity. 2, because I'm going to put a 3rd layer on it as well. I kind of wanted to see how saturated the colors could get with more than 1 glazing layer on it. Now here I just cut down a little piece of paper that was left over from some art journals that I've made, and I save all those offcuts for little silhouette paintings and for making these, which are little swatch sheets to fit inside the palette with the paints, so that I won't have to grab the big swatch sheet every single time. And I'm going to go back and do a glazing layer on top of those, and then I'm going to go back and do the 3rd glazing layer on top of the main swatch sheet. Again, just seeing how saturated I can get these colors. They are not weak, but they are very soft in comparison to paints I'm used to using. So then I decided, you know what, let me do a little color mixing. Let me test them out, see how they're gonna flow. Now, these are not all of the tests that I'm going to do on them. I'm just sharing part of those with you guys. Of course, I will be doing some other testing like salt testing, lift testing, all that type of stuff throughout the month of October as I paint with them for Inktober. And all of that will be ready and prepared for you guys by the time the review comes around. Mixed a couple of different blacks, a warm black and then a cooler black as well. Now let's move on. Okay, here we are with the swatching complete. I've started some preliminary testing on them just to kind of get a feel of them before I jump into doing a demo with them. Here I did some color mixing, but I'm just showing it to you guys. Of course you guys saw it, but the point of this was to kind of get a feel for the paints just a little bit before I jump into doing the first composition with them. Of course, you guys know this isn't a review, and I made this little swatch sheet to go inside my little palette. Fit in there for when because this is made for travel. I will say that the paints they're different from what I'm used to. They are actually kind of muted. Now, I didn't say well, maybe they are. No, they're pretty and they're rich, but they're soft. Muted was the wrong color. They're really, really soft instead of being like punchy and vibrant and in your face. They're really soft and rich and pretty, I will say that. And it's really different from what I'm used to. I'm really used to really bright, vibrant, punchy paints. You know, I like Mission Gold and Artwell in the tube and pretty excellent things with real big punches in it. So with this said, let me show you guys really quickly what we're doing. This is the last water soluble Wednesday before we jump into Inktober, and that's what I'll be concentrating on doing October. So I did, this is my practice sketchbook that I made myself a long time ago. I've done some paintings. You guys have seen some stuff from the channel that's in here, like that painting on the channel. I think that might be on the channel as well. But anyway, so I did, what happened to it? I can't find it now. Here we go. So I was just kind of playing around, and I did this, and because of course you guys know I've been working on like glass objects. I got a little off with my sketching here, but I did want to do this with you guys because I had fun, and I decided, I said, well, let me share, because we're doing sort of like glass and metallic all in the, or metal all in the same drawing. So I thought this would be a pretty cool composition to replicate. So I'm going to be drawing from, or I'm going to be painting, should I say, from my previous drawing. And I'm going to be working in my Arteza sketchbook. Of course, you guys know we're using the Lukas paints. So the palette will be off screen, but you know what I'm using. And yeah, let's get to painting. Okay, as we get started here, I've already sketched out this composition, or should I say transferred this composition from my sketch paper into my Arteza 140-pound cold press acid-free watercolor sketchbook, cellulose paper, and it's pretty decent, as I always tell you guys. And just so you know, there will be a traceable available for this composition for Patreon users on Patreon. Thank you guys so much for supporting. It is through wonderful support like yours and people who shop on the Esty site that I'm able to continue to bring you guys this free content, continue to test and review products. And as you guys know, I am testing for this painting and throughout Inktober the Lukas Aquarelle 1862 professional watercolor paint. So that's what we're using here. So basically I used the cyan color to paint in my background, and I'm using that same cyan color with a cat's tongue brush. This is Lindsay Wyrick, one of her brushes from Craft Ammo. These are actually some really decent synthetic squirrel brushes. I will be honest and let you know that the ferrule on some of these brushes is pretty loose. You may have to tighten it up. And considering what you pay for the brushes, you know, they could have done a little bit better with making sure that those ferrules were tightened, but it's not a huge deal. It does not take away from the quality of the brushes and the fact that they will hold a lot of water. Now, with that said, I dapped in some ultramarine light, which is the color that's in this set, the other blue, into the base after I covered it with the same cyan that was in the sky, just to give it some different variation and to make it stand out from the background. I said sky, but I meant background. Now I took the green color in that set, which is phthalo green, and I watered it down a lot in order to just base in the shading on the soap dispenser. So and so it'll just look like the soap that's in it has a tint, although I was really thinking that I wanted to, you know, make it appear clear. Then I took that same phthalo green and mixed in a little of the black and a little of the Payne's gray in order to make my darker green shadow color. And I used that just to start painting in, you know, the thicker part of the glass bottle that you would be able to see on the outsides, the thicker part of the glass bottle you would be able to see on the very bottom of the container. And you guys forgive the noise in the background. My AC unit just kicked on and it is a little loud in the studio area, so I apologize for that. Then I'm taking that same dark color and I'm just basing in what would be the shadow areas of the glass, you know, like if it's sitting against something or around something. And of course, I wanted to make sure that the blue was mixed in. So that phthalo green that's on the bottle does have blue mixed into it. So that it would pull the color in from the background and from the countertop that it's sitting on. Now I'm going in and I'm tackling the actual metal pump part of the soap dispenser. So I took black and Payne's gray and mixed them together since I had already been using them. to keep unity and color harmony across my composition. And I watered it down a lot to get the lightest gray tone that I used to base in the very first layer of gray that went down onto the pump in the or the top part of the bottle that would be the metal pump. Then I darkened that, or should I say I use that same mixture with less water in it in order to go in and do the secondary gray tones, doing a variation of light gray, mid-tone gray, dark gray, and then black, in order to give the different variations that you would see reflecting off of something that was silver or metallic, especially once the light hit it. And it'll all come together like it's supposed to once I actually add the major highlights to it. So you're just going to see me kind of, do a little back and forth here. And I'm going to continue to base in those colors here. I'm using the blackest, or the darkest, should I say, in order to add in as much saturation into the shadows as I can, to make sure that you could see the different parts that are connected together in order to make the metal pump itself. And then I just took that dark color and started putting in the darkest reflections of shadows that you would see in the metal itself. And I'm just going to go back and forth trying to make sure that I add roundness to the corners of everything, because of course you want it to look round. I want it to look like you can reach out and grab it. Now I didn't notice until I was doing this voiceover that well, I kind of noticed, I thought it was this way in the painting as I was doing it, but now that I'm looking back at it and doing this voiceover, I can definitely see that the bottle is a little crooked. My drawing wasn't 100% perfect, but nonetheless, you're still getting all of the visuals that you need to see exactly how I tackled painting this. And once I got all of my shadows in the way that I wanted them to, I went in and started to add the reflection. Now, because it is a transparent, green tinted bottle, then once the light reflects through it and hits the counter that it's sitting on, that reflection would also kind of have a tint from the glass bottle in it. Now, I put it down just plain phthalo green to begin with, but as the painting went on, I felt like that was just too bright, too rich, considering the fact that you would have shadows reflecting as well. So eventually I'm going to go back in and add some darker tone to that shadow in order to, dull it down just a little bit. Now, I painted on using the dark green that I was using. I painted on the strip, the little decorative strip that was going to be on the glass bottle. I also painted in the water line. Then I grabbed a ruler, and now what I'm doing is actually drawing in the straw. That's what I call it, the straw. But the straw part of the pump that would be going down into the actual liquid to allow it to lift up through the pump. So I just took a ruler to get that straight, and then I based both sides of that line with my mid gray tone that I mixed, and then I'm going in with that lighter gray tone, and I'm actually filling in that straw area. I'm using a paper towel to dab it out to make sure that I don't get it too dark. I still want it to look like it's actually behind the glass. And then later on, I'll finish that off with the highlights, which I've already started. So here I grab my bleed proof, and I am putting in the major highlights where the light would be reflecting the most. And this is what's going to actually add that last element needed to make that pump area really look like it's metal. I've been working on glass and working on shiny metal, rust, things like that throughout the month of September. We're going into October. Throughout the month of September, and yeah, it's worked out well. This is wrapping up that study, and for the month of October, I'll just be concentrating on the prompts from Inktober. I plan on having a whole lot of fun with this, and I hope you guys join me in painting for Inktober as well. I'm just throwing on all of the last highlights. I'm going to put on the dots around the decorative strip in order to make it stand out, sign it. And that's pretty much going to bring us to an end, guys. Here we are, finally done with the little painting demo with the Lukas Aquarelle 1862. I have to say, you know, just from preliminary use, from the swatching in this first demo, that I think I actually like the paints. But of course I'm going to use them throughout Inktober. That was the point. And then I'll be giving a final review. I still have to figure out how I feel about them not being as vibrant. They're not desaturated, they're saturated, they're just soft. They're not as vibrant as I'm used to, so we'll see. But of course I'll be giving you guys my thoughts about all that in the review. Painting came out okay. It's a little bit, I noticed after I got everything painted that it's a little maybe lopsided or something. It seems a little off to me, but for all intents purposes, there you have it. All right guys, well, hopefully you enjoyed this preliminary look at Lukas Aquarelle 1862 Professional Watercolor Paints in a Tube. You'll see much more of them in use. If you saw anything in this video that you liked, you found helpful or informative, enjoyed the painting, or just simply hanging out for another Water Soluble Wednesday in an unboxing of a new product, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, guys. If you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, or if you're returning and haven't subscribed, do consider hitting that subscription bell. We are trying to build this community. Hitting the subscription button, excuse me. We're trying to build this community and grow the subscription for this channel and the community that's a part of it. Hit the notification bell so that you'll know when all the new content is available and coming out. Guys, you can check out the video description for all of the relevant links to this channel. It's going to be the most recommended product list, which has great quality products, a very budget, pocket-friendly prices. There's going to be the link for paints, pencils, pastels, and markers, which is a Thrifty Apprentice sponsored Facebook group where we do all things artsy and crafty, and all artists and crafters are welcome. You can check out the link for the Etsy shop, which is updated and things are uploaded as I finish them. That's a way to support the channel. Or you can check out the Patreon link and become a Patreon member for the Thrifty Apprentice. Patreon is going to give you free printable traceables for the majority of the projects that we do on the channel that require a traceable. It's going to give shots out for every month for those people who are supporting. And it also has the Thrifty Reel, a behind the scene look series, which is a Patreon exclusive series that shows a lot of things that go on here in the studio and with my artwork that does not premiere on YouTube in any shape, form, or fashion. It's exclusively for Patreon. So there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me here. I'll see you back here Friday. And remember, as I tell you at the end of every single video, just keep painting and crafting.